Hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lene and I'm a knitter from Norway, and welcome to my knitting podcast. Here we talk about all things knitting. We talk about yarn, we talk about finished projects, current projects we really want to cast on, just all things knitting. But before we get into that, if you are someone who watches frequently, you might see that I'm in a new yarn corner, and that's because I've switched rooms with my son, or we've switched room with my son, so we have gotten a much bigger room and I now have more space for my yarn corner. My desk is still there because I just don't have space for my yarn without it, but now I have a lot of my yarn also on a shelf, and that's really nice. And I've also gotten a basket for my current projects and yarn I really want to cast on. So I'm just super excited about these changes, and I'm really happy with the changes I've been able to make going into 2024. I've also made another change. I've gotten some bangs. I did that I think 1st or 2nd of January. So this new year has just been filled with a lot of new and really welcome changes to my life, my hair, my room, all of that. So I'm really excited for this new year. I've also made a video all about my intentions for this year if you're interested in that. But now we can get into knitting, and I'll start by talking about what I'm wearing. And I'm wearing my Agnete cardigan by Petiteknit. This was my first finished selfish knit, or what I'm this year going to be calling self-care knit, that I made in 2023. I finished this January of 2023. And I wanted to wear it now, January, 1 year later. This has been a really nice cardigan to have this past year. It has, it has pilled a bit right on the elbow where it has, I would say, probably the most friction, and on the underarm here where the friction is against the body. That's where it's pilled the most. But I don't think it's too bad. I haven't done any deep pilling on this all year, so I don't think it's too bad of an amount of pilling for a whole year. I made this in Drops Flora and Drops Kid Silk, both in the color of white, and I knit mine in a medium, but as you can see, mine is quite a lot more snug in the sleeves. I think that's a mix of my gauge being a bit off, and also I have quite big arms compared to like my bust size, so I think it's a mix of problems here, but I honestly like this fit a lot. I could also probably have blocked it a lot more aggressively, but I'm very happy with how this fits, even though it is a lot more tighter. Mine is kind of next to skin on the sleeves. But I'm happy with the fit, so it doesn't really matter. But I'd say most of it is probably because I didn't check my gauge. I am going to make everything I knit in 2023 video, but I've been busy with changing rooms and rearranging both this room and my son's room, so that's going to come a bit later. But here is my first knit of 2023, and I think it's one of the favorites I made last year. But I don't think there really is too much more to say about it, and we can move into my current projects. I'm really excited about my current projects, but my goal after Christmas has been to take it really slow, and I've been taking it super slow. I've been taking it even slower than I really intended to, because when the new year started I thought I was going to get a bit more back into knitting and knitting a bit more, but I've just not been feeling it. I've just been relaxing, knitting a little bit here and there, but not really a lot at all, and I've been going to bed on time and creating healthier habits. So I'm really happy with the kickstart. The period between Christmas and New Year's really got me going into this new year, and hopefully I'll be able to keep that change going. But here is the Eva cardigan. I've been talking about this for weeks now, I feel, and it's still on stitch holder, so that's not going anywhere. I don't think we really have to say anything about that. And then I'm actually down to 3 active projects now, so I only have 2 more, and this is the Sunday sock, and I've actually finished the first one. I did last week talk about that I'd made a mistake in the heel. I have 2 stitches too few on the flap back here, but I decided to just live with it. It's going to be fine. It's just a sock, and I did have enough stitches all around. They were just placed a bit wrong, but I think it's going to work out. These are my Christmas gift to my brother, but they're still not done. They are the biggest size in the Sunday sock pattern by Petiteknit. I think that's 44 or something. And yeah, they have been taking me quite a while to finish because there's just a lot of centimeters of double ribbing to knit, and this yarn I'm knitting with is so stiff and uncomfortable to knit with, I must say, even though it is a lovely yarn and a lovely concept. I'm knitting with Rauma Vandre. It's 100% wool, but it's a sock yarn because it is from a specific type of Norwegian sheep which has really long fibers. So when you wash it after knitting, from my understanding, the fibers are supposed to intertwine in a way that makes it not unravel and makes it sturdy like nylon socks and everything would be. So this is 100% wool, so I hope that the feeling of it knitting up is worth it in the end, and that these socks will last a really long time, and that after I give them a wash they are a bit softer and a bit more comfortable to wear, because if they're not comfortable to knit, I can't imagine they'll be comfortable to wear. But I have to wash that to see. But even though it's not nice to knit, I am really excited for this project, and if they turn out as great as I hope they will, I will definitely be knitting more with Rauma Vandre, just because I think it's amazing to knit with Norwegian wool and also to be able to make socks that are 100% wool. This color is called grey beige, I think. But my main problem now is that I've knit 1 sock and I've been playing yarn chicken basically this whole time because I only got 3 skeins. And I weighed this sock when I was done, and I think that ended up being like around 75. So I thought, okay, 3 skeins, each skein is 50 grams and this is 75. I should be good. But I weighed these and I think these are like 72, 73. So now I'm not feeling too great, and I also have a goal this year of not buying more yarn. So this did not feel like a great way to start the year off, because it looks like I'm going to have to buy another skein to be able to finish them. And it's not even the fact that I have to buy another skein, it's the fact that I have to buy a whole another skein for 3 grams of it. So I'll just end up with 47 grams of scrap yarn in my stash, and I know that I would probably just knit my son socks with it immediately and get it out of my stash, but it's just the feeling of having to get a whole skein for 3 grams. But I have decided to not rush to get more yarn. I'm going to start on the second sock and knit until I run out of yarn, maybe I'll be super lucky and won't need more yarn, and my scale is just telling me that I have to and being wrong. But I think I'll have to get another skein, but I'm going to wait to get it until I have to, and hopefully my local yarn store will have more of this yarn. I think they only had 3 when I was there, so hopefully they'll have gotten more. But other than me probably not having enough yarn and it being a really rough yarn to knit with, I am really happy with this project, and I don't think the stitches are super beautiful right now. This is how they look. They're not super beautiful and super even because this yarn is just really rough to knit with, so my tension, I don't have the same tension because then it would just make my fingers so sore and honestly probably make it bleed. But I am really excited to wash it and see how it goes from there. So this is definitely a project I'll be working on this week, and I think my goal is to at least start knitting on it, and I would really like to be able to knit through these skeins just to see where I'm at and if I have to get yarn and how short I am of yarn. So excited to get to the bottom of that problem. And then my last whip that has been getting less attention this week than I would want it to, but I just haven't been feeling it. I've been working on other projects, and I really want to savor this knit for times where I really have the time to sit down and relax and really focus on it, and I just haven't been in that headspace this week, so I haven't done a lot. But my porcelain sweater, here it is. I can't remember if it had the neckline last time we spoke. If it didn't, I've done that, and I always like to do that quite early on in projects because it just gives the whole sweater more of a finished look. I don't think I had done it last time actually, but it's much more of a finished look. I can see much better how it will actually look. I did try it on after last podcast, just before I joined in the round, and I liked the way it fit then. Haven't tried it on after that because I barely knit anything. I think I was right before this new color work started again. I've done a couple of rows of color work, but I did all of this in one day and then I haven't had time to knit again. I did knit little bit last night because I thought, okay, I finally have some time to knit. Let's do it. I'm motivated. I really want to do it now. So I sat down, and I'm at the part now where you do those, I don't know what you would call it, but they're almost like leaves or flowers or something. Maybe leaves is the closest. So I was going to start doing that border, and I did start, and then I immediately knit wrong, but I didn't notice it immediately. So I realized I'm going to have to frog, and as soon as I realized that, my son woke up and he just did not go back to sleep. So I've still not been able to frog that. I'm actually doing it right now as I'm speaking to you. Just because sometimes if I don't do it right away, I'll just forget all about it and continue knitting, and I'll just have to frog more. But now I'm back on track. But yeah, I feel like this is taking one step forwards, one step backwards, and not really going anywhere as of recent. But I think this week that I'll make it a priority to knit a little bit more on it. I have. I'm really happy with the fact that I've really been able to chill down with my knits, not force myself to knit if I'm not feeling it, and just going very slowly. And this is definitely proof of that. But I can feel it a bit when I'm knitting on this, and when I look at it, that I'm just a little bit disappointed in not having gotten further, because I did really imagine myself having gotten further. I started on this on Christmas Eve. This was my Christmas Eve cast on, and now it's the 5th of January, so I have been working on this for close to 2 weeks, and it's not that I haven't done anything. I just imagine myself being further along. I've only done one of the color work sections. I thought I'd maybe be done with at least 2, maybe 3. So I'm struggling a bit with like how I've learned myself to look at knitting and the speed I'm used to finish my knits in, and that's definitely coloring how I look at how fast I should knit, because I've gotten so used to the fast-paced knitting that I've been doing a lot, staying up at night, finishing as much as possible, and and I do really like to set deadlines for myself, like this should be done by then, I would hope for this to be done by then. So even though I've gotten a lot better at it with this problem, to not act on those thoughts, I still have them a lot, and especially these last few days I've been looking at this, and I'm trying not to stress about it, but it's definitely starting to nag at me a bit that I do wish I was knitting on this a little bit faster. And I've been very tempted. Last night I was very tempted to stay up a bit just to get through maybe a color work chart number 2, or B as it's called in the pattern, I think. So I'm definitely feeling it now that it's been 2 weeks of me really embracing the slow pace of knitting. I'm starting to really feel that that's actually impacting me quite a lot, and that I am struggling a bit to accept that some sweaters just take longer. And it's not that I've not been knitting at all, because as you know, this has not been my only project, but since this is color work as well, and I've not gotten a lot of work done on it, those two facts together means that I've not made that much progress on this, and I don't know, that's just really been getting to me these last few days. But I am happy that even though I've been feeling like that a lot and thinking about that a lot, that I've not let it like rule my life. I've still gone to bed, even though I've thought about how much I could have gotten done if I just stayed up. I have been, I don't know, quite strict with myself to not fall off the bandwagon and start stressing with my knits again. But I think it's natural that since I'm just now learning to not stress with my knits, that it will be an adjustment period where I still stress but try not to act on those feelings. But I just wanted to let you know that even though I can come here and say that I've accomplished not stressing on my projects just because I've accomplished not knitting on them as much as my thoughts tell me I should, that does not mean that I've just magically been able to rewire my brain in 2 weeks. I think it's going to take this whole year, honestly, because I've been knitting this way for 16 years. Since I started knitting when I was like 5 years, I've been very how much I'm able to do in a day or how fast I'm able to knit things have been really important to me. That's been like how I think about how good I am at knitting, and how I've placed a lot of value in the speed in which I knit at. So now that I'm trying to slow it down a lot, I'm struggling with it, but it is my goal and I'm sticking with it, and I'm excited to see where it will take me. But this is my porcelain sweater this week, and since this is all color work, I'm not going to start the sleeves before I'm done with the body, because the sleeves scare me a little bit, because they have color work as well. So I want to get through all of the charts on the body and just finish the body, so I don't have skeins everywhere, because I have 4 skeins connected to it now, because I have white flora, white kid silk, white denim blue flora, denim blue kid silk. So it's just a mess, and I don't want to get more skeins involved in that. So sleeves are happening at the end for this one, but my goal for this week is to finish at least chart number 3, and I really want to get to chart number 2, and I really want to get to chart number 3 as well, just because I'm really excited. All of the charts are different, and I'm excited to see how that will knit up. I'm also excited to see how this second one will knit up, especially the leaves. I think in the pattern, I've looked at all the charts, I think that's the one that scares me the most, because it has really long floats. I do what's it called, tuck my floats in every 3 stitches. My grandma learned me that you should never go more than 3 stitches without tucking in your floats. So if it's 4, I do 2 and 2. If it's more than that, I do 3 and 3 and 3 and 3. So long floats really scare me. I don't like that, and it seems like the leaves have a lot of that. So excited to try that out and challenge myself, and also excited to be done with it. But those are my whips. I have 3, and I have 2 that I'm kind of working on, but only one that's actually on needles right now, because one is on stitch holders and I haven't cast on that other sock. But I actually have some finished projects. These are the first finished projects in 2024. And here is my first one. All of these were carried with me from 2023. Here's the first one. This is Anker sweater by Petiteknit, and it's in the very small size. I've never knit the small size of this pattern before, because she just returned to that pattern and released a new small size. Before, the small size was 3 to 6 months, and now it's 0 to 3 months. That's the small size. I knit this with drops lima in the color Orchid. I have still some scraps left from my Never sweater that I test knitted for cottagecore, and I used some of the scraps for this, but I still have more, and I really like how the color Orchid looks in the Anker sweater, so I'm probably going to knit more Anker sweaters using it. I think this ended up at about 100 grams, I think a little bit more. I think 116 maybe. So a little more than 2 skeins, but I really love how this turned out. I did Italian cast off, I did Italian cast on. I really like how Italian looks, or tubular I think it's called. I really like how that looks for the Anker, since it is very rib focused sweater. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. This is for a little baby that's going to be born in February. So I'm excited to be gifting this away, and since I have finished this so long before the deadline, I might be making something else as well, just something small, maybe a hat or socks or something, because I love baby knits and I'm not going to stop doing those in 2024. I'm just going to get better at the deadlines, but since I am finished so long before, maybe I'll do something else. But that was my very first finished knit. I think I finished this the 1st or the 2nd of January. And then I finished my second finished project just last night. I've been knitting on Doble Tøfler for myself, the free slipper pattern by Sandnes garn that I made my son. I got yarn for me and my fiance to get those slippers sometime in December, and I started on them. I started on mine after Christmas, and I've been super excited to get some. We have really cold weather here right now. Today we have like negative 40 degrees Celsius. It's super cold, so I've just been craving my very own slippers. I've been just thinking about how cute it would be to have matching slippers with my son, and then to make my fiance some. He's not that into it, but it's okay if I make him slippers. So I've just been thinking about the wonderful family match, but most of all me and my son, and I've been super excited, and the slippers have been what I've focused on the most this week. And I did finish them last night, and I sewed them all up, weaved in all the ends, and put them in the washing machine to felt them. And I put them on a short program. I thought that would be enough. And when I took them out, they weren't felted enough. They were like this much too big. They were just too big everywhere. I don't think they would have even fit my fiance. They were just too big, barely felted. So I put them back in, and since the short program had barely felted them, I put them on a regular wash cycle, and then I went to get them out of the washing machine, and they had felted a lot. So these are what was supposed to be my slippers. They're knit. First you knit this part, and then you knit each of these so you can tuck them into each other. But these are just so felted and stiff that you can't really fold them into each other. Even if I did, I don't think they would even fit my son at this point. They're so felted. And when I saw this morning, I was just gutted. I got so sad. I've been so excited to make this and have them finished, and then I end up with this. And I have the yarn for my fiance's. I thought I was like so close to a family match. I thought I would get it in January, and now I'm left with this. I'm honestly so sad about it. And I did try to soak them with conditioner to try to like stretch them out, but they're so felted. You can't see a single knit stitch. They're just incredibly felted. They're so stiff. So my dream of these being slippers is gone. I do not want to throw them out though, so they're not completely dry yet, because after I soaked them in conditioner, they've been laying out to dry for quite a few hours now, but since they are so felted, I don't know if they'll ever dry, honestly. I knit this in Drops Nepal. I knit my son's in Drops Nepal too, and he's felted fine. I think my problem was that I did the short one first and then the long one, whereas with his I think I just did the long one, but I couldn't remember that. So I just tried what I thought was right, and it was not. So it's not our washing machine, because I know I've been able to do it right before. It's just me. I'm the problem here. That just makes it worse, honestly. But when I do get around to making my fiance's ones, I'm just going to do the long cycle or the like regular one immediately instead of doing the short one, and I hope that will be okay. And I don't know what to do about this, because I think out of all of us three, I'm the one that's the most interested in getting slippers. My son uses his like a bit on and off. He has finally accepted them. He hated them for a while, but he'll use them now. But I do definitely think that I'm the one that's the most like, I really, really, really want slippers. My feet are cold, it's cold, the floors are cold. We have wood floors, it's just cold. It's cold outside. I just really want slippers, and then my slippers are the one that ends up like this. It just kind of killed my motivation for this whole family match project, to make my fiance's slippers and me not even getting any. And also, since my goal this year is to not really buy yarn, what am I supposed to do? Because this is not yarn I just have in my stash. I don't use Drops Nepal that much, so I only buy Drops Nepal for really specific projects, and I used up all of the yarn I bought for this, for my slippers. I bought 200 grams and I used 200 grams, and my fiance said, oh, you can just use the yarn you got for mine. And yes, of course I could do that, but I had really imagined getting grey slippers. I was really excited about these slippers. I've been knitting on them, and just I really wanted grey slippers. And the color I got for him was, I have it here, I got navy blue for him. I got 250 grams for him because he has a bit bigger feet, and I could do that, but I really wanted, they are a lot darker now since they're wet, but they're like a light grey. I wanted that, not this. So while I could do that, that's just not what I want to do. And I also want the family match still, and then I'd still have to get him yarn. So I think the solution is to get new yarn for this, for myself. But yeah, I'm just not sure. And one of the bad parts about this too is that making slippers or socks or anything like that, I don't really like it, because you have to make two. So you first have to make one and then make the other one. But now I have to make 4 just to get one pair of slippers. So it was just not a great way to start this day. And already on the second project of 2024, I have a just completely failed project. So I don't know if that's a good sign for this knitting year, but that's where we're at. I have been trying to figure out what I can do with these though, because I don't want to throw them away, because it's yarn, it has value. I've put my hours into this, so I've been trying to figure it out. I thought maybe if I cut them, because they are so felted, I think you can cut into them fine. If I cut them, maybe my son can use them as slippers, but they have kind of felted a bit unevenly. But maybe they can go together, the two up top and the two down. And he can use them as slippers then, but I don't know if they would fit his feet because they got so small. And then I've been trying to figure out what else to do with them. Maybe you could cut the back here and have it like an oven mitten to use in the oven. I've also thought about just leaving it, and then it could be like a pot mat for really hot pots when you put those on the table for dinner, that you can use them for that, because they are really thick and they're really sturdy, and once they finally dry, I think they could be fine for that as well. And they are quite, they are almost the right size. Maybe I'll do like a couple of, I'd sew this part together so that stayed together, but other than that, if this stays together, they are kind of the right shape for that. So that's how that project went, and really ruined my motivation. But I'm trying to think that we'll still get use out of this if they do end up as like pot mats or whatever you call it. I've tried to Google so much what it's called in English, and I got so many different answers, so I just decided to go with one. But I hope you understand that it's like the thing you have on the table or your counter for when you put hot pans or stuff on it, so it doesn't ruin the countertops or the table. I think it would work fine as that, and we are in need of those because we don't have enough. So I'm trying to turn a bad thing into a good one, but I guess if you have any felting tips, let me know, because clearly I'm not very good at it. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now with my finished project. So one successful one, one completely ruined one. But let's see, I also have in my basket here, this is my basket of current whips and things I want to knit on this month. So every month I'll put the yarn and maybe some active projects I've carried with me from the last month in this basket. So everything I want to knit on that specific month will be in here. And how I've done my yarn stash is that the yarn with the plan is here and the yarn without is there in that corner, just because this is what my eye gets the most pulled towards, and I get a lot more motivation to look at by looking at the knits I'm the most excited for and that has a plan. So knits I'm the very most excited about are also in the middle here, because that's where my eye darts immediately when entering this room. So hopefully that will give me loads of knitting motivation this year. But I thought I'd show you, because I have yarn for one other project. I have the yarn for my Porcelain and for the Sunday socks and for the Eva and for the Doble Tøfler. But I also have one other project that I'm really excited about. The problem is all of these projects almost are on 4mm. So I have to pick what to work on. But when I'm done with the body on the Porcelain, this is what I'm going to be cast on, I think. And this is the yarn for my Violetta pullover. It's Drops Kid Silk. I can't remember exactly what this color is called, but I think it's like pearl pink maybe. And then this is just called pink, this Flora. And I think this together will be so nice. This is a bit more pink and this has a bit more beige in it maybe, and it's a bit lighter, so I hope together I'll get a really like light and a bit of a, oh, what's the word? English is a bit harder today. I'll get just a very light pink. I don't want it to be like super in your face pink, but just pink, beige, white, a really light pink I think would be really nice, especially for the Violetta. I think the Violetta is a really nice feminine lacy cables, and I would love to knit that with this color combo. And I've been talking about casting that on for quite some time now, but now I have the mohair and I have the Flora, and I think I'll soon have the time as well. So excited about that. I'm glad I have so many things to be excited about, because my mood when this day started. It was not great, but then I did all of my yarn. I went through all of it and have sorted it, and all of that has helped bring my mood up a bit, and thank God for that, because I started the day with a mood that was so bad. But yeah, I think even though I'm trying to not buy yarn this year, that this week I'll probably end up buying like 250 grams of yarn, because I will probably have to get yarn for the Sunday socks, and I definitely have to get yarn for my slippers if I want slippers, and I do really want slippers. I want slippers so bad, so I'm just really sad about those slippers, to be honest. But yeah, I think I'm going to end up getting yarn, and when I'm at a yarn store getting yarn, I think I'm going to probably buy myself some needles as well, because I only have one 4mm needle, and I'm noticing that I'm doing a lot of projects on 4mm needles, so it would be really nice to have enough needles to actually work on them, and not having them have to wait on each other. But yeah, I went through my stash, and there's going to be a video all about me going through my stash, but I thought I'd just tell you kind of where we're starting the year, because I feel like the podcasts are where I kind of document everything, and we're starting the year with about I've finished 2 projects, of course, but with the yarn for those projects, we're starting the year at 18 kilos and 300 grams. So now that I'm done with those projects, I'm at 18 kilos. I'm at 18 kilos and 2 grams. And I'm excited to see where this year will go. I have a goal of only having yarn to fill that shelf. So all of the yarn over here, to not have that much yarn that I have to use that desk really, because I have my sewing machine just under that desk. You can't really see it in frame right now, but I want to have space for that on the desk without it being filled with yarn, and I want to actually learn to sew. My sister is really good at it, and I want to maybe learn from her just some basic things to sew, because it's easy. I can't make every type of clothing knitting, and it would be nice to be able to make more of my own clothing. So I do want to learn to sew. I have a sewing machine and I've barely used it. So destashing all of that, and that's honestly most of my yarn right now. So I think I have to destash at least 10 kilos, honestly. So hopefully I'll be knitting from stash a lot this year. As you can see, I have a lot of projects that have a plan, and it's not like I have to knit from there this year. That's not what I mean. I can knit from there, but I want to get to a point where all of my yarn has moved from there to there. And this year I'm also really trying to not invite really any yarn into my stash without a plan. But I don't see a point of placing myself on a yarn ban, because like this week a lot can happen. Slippers get felted, you lose yarn chicken. There's just a lot of things that can happen, so placing yourself on a yarn ban and stressing with that, I'm just not into it. I'm going to tell myself to not buy yarn without a plan, and if I plan for it and really want it and have been wanting it over time, so I know that it's actually something I want and not just on a whim, I'm going to let myself. I don't see a point in making my hobby very strict and trying to remove the joy and spontaneity from my hobby. So it's more about keeping my consumption to a reasonable level and not ending up with big piles of yarn that I don't have the time to use. But with all that said, I feel like I've talked more about other things than knitting, honestly. But yeah, with all of that said, that is it for the first podcast of 2023. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. Please tell me how to felt things correctly. And if you want to follow me this year, please subscribe. Bye!